Hey there, adoring public. It's Adam. We've got a sample for you of our brand new show, People Also Watched. It's where Tara, Dave, and myself compare blockbuster new releases to other movies people might have also watched. It's a lot of fun, and you guys don't want to miss out. So make sure you subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. And don't forget to follow us on social media at People Also Watch on Twitter and on Instagram. No ED. No one likes ED. And now, here's the show.
Hi, this is Dave.
This is Tara.
And this is Adam, and you're listening to People Also Watched.
We're three industry insiders clinging onto the lower rungs of the Hollywood ladder, and we love examining movies.
Every month, studios release big budget features, and for every one of those, there's a ton of lesser known movies you just might like.
So, as we cling here to the bottom of this career ladder, we're going to watch these big budget movies, but we're also going to introduce you to an older, nearly forgotten movie that people also watched.
So, like and subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts because it really helps. It helps get the word out about what people also watched.
Yeah, and if you kids out there want to follow us on any of the social medias like Twitter and Instagram, you can find us at People Also Watch. There's no ED because no one likes ED.
Right, boys? Right?
It's
right.
true.
They
It's
sure
true.
don't. They sure don't.
It's true.
Reach out to us with a direct message. Let us know some big budget movies you think we should watch, or maybe some of your favorite personal gems from that little known vault of your mind.
And don't worry, everybody. I'll teach Adam and Dave how to find your messages and what they're on.
I hear it's a computer, but I'm not sure.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Now, can I use my dial phone to reach the Twitter?
We're gonna totally delete this episode. I can tell already. Okay, you guys. Today we've got two movies that make it clear that life's a witch. Dave.
Oh my
terrible.
God! Come on,
Dave, you wrote that. I didn't want to do it. I think it's clear. Okay. So the first is about three old witches who have returned after a 29-year-old absence. Okay. 29-year-old absence? Okay, got it.
A 20-year absence.
That's all right.
It
Sorry.
could be a 29-year-old.
Jesus. Okay. The first is about three old witches who have returned after a 29-year absence, and the other is about a school of witches that never left the mid-'80s, but a Netflix reboot did. We're talking about the sequel to the ghoulish cult classic on Disney, Hocus Pocus 2, and the made-for-TV movie that we could only find on YouTube, The Worst Witch. Okay, so first up, I think we need to start with one of my favorite movies of all time, the sequel, Hocus Pocus 2. So what are the facts?
Hocus Pocus 2 sees the return of Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Njimy as the witchicular characters, the Sanderson sisters. It also has Tony Hale and is directed by Anne Fletcher. So, Dave, what is your log line for Hocus Pocus 2?
You know, you would think the way I talk, I would have given this some thought beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Hocus Pocus 2, log line. The Sanderson sisters are back in Salem, and they're after the mayor, Tony Hale, in order to get his blood or something, so that they could get the ultimate power and take over the world.
That was
Is
good.
that pretty close?
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was pretty succinct.
Was it? I don't think I'd watch that movie, Dave, is what I'm going to say.
I think you did watch that movie.
No,
I
I
like how positive it was, because everything ended up. You know, it was like, over the world. It was nice. I liked it, Dave.
Thank you.
What
What did I get wrong?
No.
I mean, it's close. It's got
mean-
some. The Sanderson sisters do come back, right?
Tony Hale is the mayor.
He is the mayor. He is also
they-
his
they-
like great uncle grandfather's Salem
See,
mayor.
this was a bit of an issue I had with this movie, is that there was a lot going on. Like, I felt like there were a lot of different... There was the whole Sanderson sisters coming back, obviously. There was the guy who brought them back, played by Sam Richardson, like the guy who was like plotting to bring them back. There was the ingenues, which were the two girls and their quarrel with their best friend.
Which
their
I
best
liked.
friend's weird relationship with the boyfriend. There was Tony Hale as the mayor, who goes back to his family line, goes all the way back to Puritan times, which is when we meet the three original Sanderson sisters who were just misunderstood. And then there's the dynamic between all the Sanderson sisters, and like, there's just so much going on in this movie. That does not mean I didn't like the film, but what I will say is that there is a lot going on.
That's funny you say that. Yes, I actually
Yes.
thought that's why it succeeded so well, because
Really?
I felt like they were such good parallel storylines about what was going on. So first, that I thought was a smart way to do it is that like you want to set up the Sanderson sisters' return, right? And you kind of want to be able to like introduce some other way we get into the story. And I thought they did it really brilliantly by bringing three young women who were the same age as when we first meet, like the origin story of the Sanderson sisters, and sort of show like how, what are the same struggles that these three women could have gone through in their friendship slash family, whatever. And how do they accidentally or on purpose call back the Sanderson sisters?
Okay.
So I
okay.
actually thought that was really smart, really fun. You set up a little like they've obviously got some, growing pains with their third best friend, and they used to do this all the
Yep.
time. And then Sam Richards, he like, sort of, gets them to light this candle, and they don't really know what it does. But I felt like the thing about the three witches, right? The Sanderson sisters, is they are big characters, right?
Huge.
These are huge, massive
Yeah.
characters that in the 80s and 90s were so much like, there were so many more movies that were like this, right? And I feel like today, there's no Adam Sandler, like there's no like these big kind of like Will Ferrell doesn't even
But
really do sort of like the big broad comedy as much. So I feel like they were smart to go, okay, how do we encase these three big characters that most modern audiences, if they've never seen the original Hocus Pocus, are going to be like, what the hell is this like overacting craziness? And I felt like they did it really successfully. Like they introduced them
I
into the modern world in a way that I thought was funny for adults and kids.
hmm I agree with you. I actually thought they were really amazing as these characters. It reminded me of vaudevillian characters a little bit,
Yeah.
like Abbott and Costello,
Totally.
the Three Stooges. But I could watch another couple hours of those three being the Sanderson
Sure.
sisters in weird kind of modern day places. One thing I thought was so good about their performance was that they not one of them looked like they didn't want to be there. They were all in it
Yep.
100%
100% invested.
without being over the top or without being like, oh, this is what this character does.
Yeah.
Like Al Pacino in a mob movie now, where he's just like 1000% Al Pacino and no character.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's talk about the three little girls that
Mhm.
played the young version of the Sanderson sisters.
Yes.
They impressed the heck out of me
Oh my
because
God, they were great.
Tara, you said that it mimicked the current ingenues, but I disagree because like the current ingenues that we were following through this story were like 16 type of thing.
Yeah.
But these girls that they got to play the young Sanderson sisters were younger.
Yeah, and
by
I
11,
think I
12?
misspoke. I didn't mean that they were mimicking them, but we have a similar dynamic, right?
Sure, a similar dynamic.
Three best friends, three sisters, and like
Right.
these three best friends are facing modern issues, whereas the Sanderson sisters are crazy witches
Right.
who
But these-
went through some shit.
These three little girls had to mimic Sarah Jessica Parker,
Yeah.
Bette Midler, like, and they crushed it. Like it was.
Oh, you're
spot
talking about
on.
the opening. Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
the
those
opening.
Yes,
little
yes.
girls.
Yeah, that's
that
what I
was
meant.
fun.
That was
fun.
amazing. I was like, that's fantastic. There's a lot of fun to be had in this movie. I mean, Tony Hale's in it. And I sent a text to both Tara and Dave when I was watching this, exclamation point, Tony Hale's in this movie, because like every time I see him on stage, he's just a joy, and he
Yeah.
brings the world alive by talking to the extras and interacting with the set and making it just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Now I have a question, because Tara, you're a big lover of the first Hocus Pocus. They did a musical number in the first.
You're the Hocus Pocus biggest fan. Like
You know
you're the
what?
president of the fan club
I
for
don't
Hocus
think so.
Pocus.
I remember, but I do.
Oh,
I
I
liked it. I
But
liked
you liked it, and there's nothing. I'm not
Yes.
criticizing that.
Yeah.
I'm just. And so they sang in the first one.
Yes.
Was it an original song or was it a cover?
God, that's a great question. I felt like they did more. That's a great question. I don't remember. And all Hocus Pocus fans are probably really mad at me. I don't remember.
Right. Well, the reason I say that is because they also sing in this movie,
Yes.
and they cover
Couple
pop
times.
songs, and I was not a fan of it.
Really?
I wasn't a fan. I didn't think it was
Ooh, I
necessary.
disagree.
I didn't feel like it was necessary. I feel like all it did was set up, because let's talk about the director for a second, who has
My
choreographed
favorite.
everything, under the sun, as Dave, I think, succinctly put in a
It's
text
Anne
chain.
Fletcher.
Yeah.
The
Anne
director
Fletcher,
is the
thank-
brilliant Anne Fletcher.
There were moments in this movie that very clearly, as a choreographer, you're like, she wanted to do a wide shot, she wanted to do some dancing, which I don't think necessarily was necessary, but it was fun. It was fun to watch, but I don't know, like I didn't need them to sing Elton John. I didn't need that.
Oh, yeah, the bitch is back.
Yeah, only as the witch is back. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at least in the first one, I put a spell on you.
Well, you guys mocked my witch puns in the intro.
That's true. That's true.
So
I don't
Adam's
know
staying
how
consistent.
you're going to survive an Elton John parody. The witch is back.
Adam's he's consistent. He doesn't like any of them. I see, Adam, I totally disagree because to me, like, okay, maybe this is old Disney movies, and I feel like honestly, the most successful Disney movies always do like a slight nod to a bit of campiness. And I really like yes, in the original Hocus Pocus, like the film creators were very smart to go like, obviously Bette Midler is a world-renowned singer. Kathy is a singer. Sarah Jessica Parker, I don't know how much of a
She's
singer
a singer. She originated one of the roles in Annie.
Oh, that's right. So like you have to, if you have 3 Broadway singers, like you better put some musical numbers in there. And just because they will be able to act it, and kids, like I remember being very rapt like when I was a kid with movies like that is that, that may be the part where us as adults are like, okay, whatever. But that's like just a little fun for kids to sort of like be entranced in the movie.
I'm not saying it shouldn't have music. I think it should have music. I just wanted an original song. I just wanted an original song. I think they shoehorned in Elton John's "The Bitch Is Back," And
then the other one was "I'm Gonna Get You."
Right.
They were
maybe next week. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just what? Yeah, it's like. Meanwhile, in the first one, they did that. I put a spell on you, and I thought that was great. I don't know if it was original song or if it was written specifically, or if it was a remake.
No, that's an old song.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. It is.
But the I liked the first one, which is "I'm Gonna Get You." I got into that, and then because the whole town started singing it, and they fell under their spell, and they were doing kind of like the Michael Jackson Thriller dance down the main street, and I enjoyed that. I agree with you though. The witch was back was reaching a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I felt. But again, that like I don't have a lot of criticisms for this movie.
No.
Honestly, I enjoyed it. I think there was a few moments that I think could have been tightened.
Sure.
But in general, I had a great time with it.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about briefly is so they go back to the origin story of the Sanderson sisters when they were like 16-year-olds, basically like kids, and sort of how they become witches, and they meet a witch in the forest played by Hannah Waddington, whatever, from Ted Lasso. And I cannot tell you how brilliant that was. I love her so much. I think she's one of our most underutilized like actors in general. And she was so fun. Like she was perfect. I was like, yes, this is exactly why I want to do this. She is amazing. And she is so hot. And I love her so much.
I didn't recognize her as the woman from Ted Lasso, and I texted you guys. I was like, "Why is the world's hottest witch in this?"
You did. I was laughing
because
so hard.
She was like
she's gorgeous,
decked out.
Oh yeah,
she was gorgeous in that. I mean, they really were highlighting her beauty.
I hope she gets 100 million. I hope we see her in everything. She is.
Yeah, she deserves it.
I just want to pose 2 things why I think this movie. First of all, I think it's one of Disney's best movies in a while. At least
I kind of agree with you.
My favorite, as far as like remakes or sequels, hands down the best one in ages. And I think it's for 2 reasons. One is they let a female director direct a women's story, essentially, right? Like this is a story about women.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
This doesn't have anything to do with who's in love with who. Like obviously there's the boyfriend of the girl and stuff, but like this isn't like we must find something in order to, promote a love story. And that it ends, so I don't know if this is going to be a buzzword for it, but like this is a feminist movie, and I think it's a lot like oh my god, what's the oh my god, Frozen, right? Where it's like it's the message is really sweet and it's nice, and it's like I just think it was really done with a really smart hand at the helm, and I think Anne Fletcher deserves a lot of credit, and I think the script was really, really good.
Yeah, and their performances, I mean, like so clean, so smart, which I give them a lot of credit for, because these are professionals, and they do
Yes.
those bits where they're walking opposite each other and they're complimenting each other with their physicality and the looks and the physical. I mean, awesome. Good for them. All women in their 60s. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I can't believe that they were all women in their 60s because they did not seem like it.
I don't know how so Jessica Parker. Well, I know Bette Midler and Kathy are older.
She was
She's gotta
probably
be-
like 20 in LA Story, which came out in like 89.
She's close. She's younger than them, but like not by
Not much.
tons.
she's like-
she's still in her 50s, if nothing else.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
in her 50s. I agree with you about the female director as well. I thought Anne Fletcher did an amazing job with this. I always like female director comedies, or at least the modern ones, because they tend to be gentler and smarter.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
you watch a male directed comedy and like anything that had like Paul Rudd or
Mhm.
Seth Rogen or anything like that in the past 20 years, there's always a cruelty that the humor comes out of.
Sure.
Like they're picking on someone, and I always find it like a revelation how female directors will find funny things without going towards the cruelty.
Yeah.
For example, like the boyfriend was kind of a dumb jock,
Mhm.
but he's like he didn't see that the friend said, "Hey, why are you always making fun of us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just saying you're weird and I'm pointing it out, but I'm not making fun of you." And they're like, "Yes, you are." And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I did not realize that." And it's a kind of funny moment that gives a usual character trope, the asshole jock, more to do than just be an asshole jock.
Sure.
And it's just a so I always enjoy that.
Well, and
with,
I think
these comedies.
I think that oftentimes a male director will force what he thinks is funny onto scenes
Yes.
as opposed to trusting the material. He's like, what would be great here is if you called him gay. And I'm like, all right, yeah. And I really think that Anne trusted her performers. She trusted the material, and she did what she was supposed to do, and took complete confidence in those 3 knockout stars were going to crush, and they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Should we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break. I need a drink.
Let's take.
Oh my God.
I want to watch Hocus Pocus 2 again. We'll be back in an hour and 47 minutes.
Now here's a movie that people also watched from 1986. It's a TV movie musical that is oddly star-studded with Diani Rigg, Charlotte Rae, Tim Curry, and Fairuza Balk. Oh, did I say that right? I feel bad if I didn't.
think
I'm
you
so
did it
sorry. Okay. Ironically, also a star of the witch movie The Craft. So Dave, please, what is our log line for this movie? Or what is
Oh my
what is
God.
your log line, really, is what I should have said.
Yeah, I did. Again, you would think I would plan this out just a touch, but
Perfect.
from what I've written so far, I do not. Okay, so what is it called? The Worst Witch is about a witch student who is not of witch blood, goes to a witch school to learn witchery, and faces it's Harry Potter with females.
How dare you?
That's all throughout this whole movie. I was like, you know what? J.K. Rowling watched this and was like, I can do this too.
Yep.
I can make a witch school,
Yep.
and I can have a blonde bully.
Yeah.
And we can. I can have a sexually obscure head magician.
Okay, so Dave, the only thing I would add to it, I had in my notes, this is the public school version of Hogwarts. Like, the kids are way more ruly. They're
Right.
definitely from a different background.
Well, did you guys notice that the only American in
Yes.
the movie is the worst witch?
Yes.
Like, everyone
Yes.
else is
Yes.
British, and they're like, what's wrong with you? And she's just like, I'm American. They're like, oh, that's why you suck. Oh, okay, that makes it. That tracks. That
Wait.
tracks.
Is Charlotte Rae British as well?
No.
No, but she was putting on.
And she was
was
putting on a very, very poor British accent, as I would say.
Oh, I thought that was great.
And then what was the accent she was using? Because she played 2 roles in the movie. She
God,
played.
that was so good. It's
She
my
played like the
favorite.
headmaster of the
Yes.
school, and then she played the lead
Evil twin.
evil twin that's the lead of another coven. And I don't know what accent she was doing.
I wrote down, I was like, is this supposed to be a Southern accent?
Right, yeah, it's like, is it supposed to be like a Southern drawl? I'm not sure.
I was like, this is the worst witch and the worst accent. Like, it was both of those things. I thought at the beginning, like the young girl, Fairuza, I thought she was doing a British accent. I was like, oh, this is really bad. And then as the movie went on, they're like, you know what? We're just going to make her American. She can't do it.
Wouldn't be surprised. She was real rough in this movie.
Oof.
Oh, man, was she bad. And she was surrounded by some British kids that weren't bad. Like, they were solid, but the lead was just, ugh. Not great.
I will have to say that like child acting has come a long way since 1986. Like we're like there's some more like levels and not just like, oh, I'm gonna make a face here and I'm gonna pull a face there and then I'm gonna be sad or not. That's what this movie showed me. Is we've come a long way since 1986.
Oh, you can tell that also by the green screen.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this movie.
Oh my God, the video
featured
graphics.
Yeah, this movie featured England's first green screen. That's my theory because like the BBC finally got a green screen and they're like, we're going to use it in every shot we can, and they gave no direction to the actors. Like there's supposed to be all these scenes where they're flying on brooms and the girls are just sitting there. Just...
Are we flying? Are we flying right now?
No facial reaction, nothing.
Yeah.
One of my notes was like, I love that they shot this on a VHS camcorder from the floor because like the first 15 minutes of the movie. So I don't know if you guys noticed in the classrooms, every shot was from below, and I was like, why do we keep looking up at these girls? Like, did they not have a tripod? Like, what happened?
Hey, one positive thing for this movie, aside from Tim Curry, entirely female cast.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Cast.
I like that.
Yeah,
look at that, 1986. Way to go.
I mean, I would say, like, first of all, a witch is generally female, right? So I think that both of like the movie, like Hocus Pocus and this, sure, like you call a witch because she's a woman, and then you call a wizard because he's a man. So I'm glad that there was an all female, like a mostly female cast, and I think adding Tim Curry to it was the right move.
Tim Curry.
Oh my God,
I
Tim
could talk
Curry
about
and
Tim
his
Curry
song.
in this movie.
Oh.
All day. First of all, I really hope he got to keep that portrait that was painted of him in the hall.
Yes.
That looked like it was painted on velvet. That every time a girl walked by, be they a teacher or student, they were like, oh, what a dream.
Oh, did you notice that I think it was the bully girl had a picture of Tim Curry up in her locker?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like everyone loves this guy.
And then he shows up flying in on like a parachute-sized cape. He lands. He does a music video.
Oh, so good.
And here's the thing. We were just talking about original songs in Hocus Pocus and me wishing there was an original song.
Yeah.
But then there's that original song in Worst Witch where he sings lines like, let's see. Anything can happen on Halloween. Your dentist could turn into a queen.
Yes.
Has anyone seen my tambourine? And he pulls a tambourine.
I think
so
maybe
good.
he was just making the song up as he went along.
That's what it
They were
felt
like,
like. It felt like
we'll
that.
add in the music later.
Yeah.
Oh God. I can't believe that there's something that happened in this movie that I'm shocked that neither one of you has talked about yet. And that's the broom phone.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The one teacher comes in.
Yes.
On a broom, and she's like the hip cool teacher, I think.
Yeah, she
and
is.
She's decked out in red. She looks a little bit like Marvel's Scarlet Witch, like from the comic book,
sure.
with the red leather outfit and the slightly red horns.
Well, Tara, with all those brooms, I figured you'd want to introduce your family.
How dare you?
Yeah.
You're such a
That's a good point.
I feel like I need to go to the broom closet for a minute and talk about this. Oh my God.
Yeah, were any of your relatives in the movie?
God, you know what? Adam just made that joke, Dave. We heard it. We get it.
Can we also talk about the cat voice that was done?
Oh my God! Yes, yes. It was so because obviously the sound guy did the ADR
Yes.
for the
Clearly,
cat.
yes.
And it wasn't like the cat was making sounds where you're like, oh, we better get a human to make those sounds so that it conveys some
Yes.
kind of emotion. It was just trying to sound like a cat. I was like, why didn't you just record a cat? They all meow.
Yeah.
It's literally like this. Meow.
Yep.
Meow.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Meow. Meow.
Mm-hmm.
Meow.
Yeah. Meow. 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 Meow.
I mean, on the cat part too, like there's like a scene where like the highest achieving student, like they win an award, and the award was a kitten, and I was like, okay, now I'm back on board. I'd like to go to the school. Like, how do I wish that was my highest achieving gift was a
I
cat.
thought you'd appreciate that part.
Yeah, it was the best part. I was like, oh, this school's amazing.
But so here's something about this movie that kind of surprised me. So usually when they have these movies, they're like, oh, she's the worst witch. It usually means she's clumsy.
Right.
Or maybe she's like a real underdog because she doesn't come from anything. This girl just sucked.
Yeah.
Like, she did not study.
Nope.
She did not apply herself. She overslept all the time. Like, yeah, she's the worst witch because she's lazy. She's
Yeah.
a lazy witch.
It was a factual statement.
Right.
They just should have called her the American
No.
witch. It's just
Yeah,
like
the American
just
witch.
here.
The
She's just here phoning it in while all the other British kids are like, this is their lives on the line. And she's like, that's all right. I'm sure I'll go back to America, get a job because I went here.
Yep.
I know I made the joke about it being Harry Potter.
No, it
but
literally
there
is.
were there's so many different things. It was like HR Puffin stuff meets Harry Potter,
Ooh, good
Ooh.
call. That's a
And-
good call, Dave.
right? So one of the things was they played a game where each team had points and they were keeping like house points against
Yep.
each other. I mean, there's the obvious. They have potions class and had to learn a potion.
Mhm.
The potion class teacher was kind of mean
Yeah.
and
Dressed all in
surly
black.
and hated the lead and dressed up all in black. They had it was an honor to be part of the broom team and do whatever that broom flying was, where they were like, let's slope down and go back up.
And then our final
Um,
presentation will be at night outside where no one can see us do these amazing aerial effects.
And then the lead. Well, I don't think Harry Potter was half human, but the lead in this was an outcast within the wizarding world.
Right.
Well,
Oh, look, I'm
but
using
Herm-
Harry Potter's
But
terms now.
Hermione was a muggle. I actually
Yeah, she
like the
was.
more I watched this, the more I was like, I bet somebody's done like some post on this, but I was like, there are so
gotta be.
many elements of Harry Potter that like you can directly pull from this that are not
Yeah.
just like wizards and witches going to school. That's totally like that. Fine, I'll give you that. But there's so many specific things. Like the first like potion we see is an invisibility potion.
That's right.
And I was like,
Which is-
whoa, okay, that's weird. There was just a lot of things that I was like scratching my head about. I was like,
I was scratching my head that Tim Curry's main job was to fly from
Yeah.
girl prep school to girl prep school and
right?
judge these young girls on being witches and then take them off for a special adventure if they win. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, that is a bit of grooming.
I did was like this. I was like, it's 1,000% gross that all these young girls are in love with adult Tim Curry. Like, are we everybody's okay with that? It's
Right,
like,
he wasn't
okay.
even like
Yeah.
early 20s
No,
Tim Curry. He's
no.
like
Yeah.
solid
He was-
mid-30s. Yeah.
Yes.
He was 5 years away from playing Pennywise in the It
Yeah.
limited series on TV.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Um,
Also, like when they were passing out cats as I don't know. I guess when you're a witch, you get a cat.
Sure.
And when they got to the I forget her name, Mildred, the worst witch. They were like, we ran out of black cats.
Yep.
Here's a tabby.
Yeah. I also thought I was like,
Just-
first of all, don't shame the cats.
And second of all, you
Yeah.
know exactly how many students are in your class. You know exactly how many.
Yeah,
running
that's
out.
true.
It's funny. I don't remember. Adam, I think you brought this. Did this air on American television?
Oh,
Is that when
yeah,
you...
yeah. It's funny
Okay.
because when I told Mandy and several of her friends that we were watching this movie, they all were like, I loved that movie as a kid. I used to watch that over and over and over again. I'm like,
That's
babe, you
so
need to
funny.
rewatch it. You need
There's
Yeah,
there's so
yeah.
many films from that, like when we were kids. Like my favorite movie of all time was like The Labyrinth, which
Oh,
does
sure.
hold up a little bit better. And I feel
Yeah.
like Labyrinth was
Yeah.
all around this. This was sort of like a time in the late '80s where like fantasy, Muppets, mystical realism, like you're
Sure.
really like towing the line with scaring children for their lives and like
Yes.
enjoyment of children's television.
Totally. It's like Secret of Nymph.
Oh God,
Or Love Them.
Oh.
Or
The
Bed
Dark
Knobs and
Crystal-
Broomsticks.
Dark
and,
Crystal, all
Yep.
those things.
Yeah.
There's some great.
Yeah,
There were some
what was,
great movies
Labyrinth,
back then. I mean, I say they're great, but what I really mean is they entertained the crap out of kids.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to being like this, but just a piece of like intellectual property, like a SpongeBob or something like that.
Mhm.
Like they created
Yeah.
original content, and it was. I mean, they're trying their best. They're trying new things, and say what you want about how it actually came out. At least they were trying.
I mean, I think the good news
Yeah,
is
and at least they had a key button for all the video effects.
Right. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think the good news is, you guys, I think we could reshoot this entire movie for $1,000, and it would look better.
Yes.
It would be better than this quality. But anyway,
Dave, you could totally be Tim Curry.
Oh, thank God. I'm going to work on my entrance.
Yeah.
Just gliding down like this.
I actually think that song. I
Singing.
was like, I wish that they would re-record that song and make it like anything can happen on Hall. I remembered that song. That's something
I was.
funny
I will
too.
say this: when I stopped watching the movie, I was singing like "Growing Up Isn't Easy."
Yeah.
Dabba-dee-ba-da-boo-bow. It was catchy. It was fun.
That's funny.
There was no The Witch is Back.
No, it's not. And
Oh,
it's, you know
boy.
what? I'd rather have the original song. As crappy as "Has anyone seen my tambourine?" lyric is.
That's funny.
Oh my God! Amazing. Love it.
I literally, their writing is like my writing, where it's like, oh, I got words down. Let's not look at it again. It's good.
I did my job.
Are you sure?
The point-
Dentist to Queen and Where's My Tambourine? That's the lyric? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they rhyme.
That's what I wrote.
They rhyme.
That's right. I will say the only other thing that I noticed that I'm surprised did not carry over from this movie is, so Tim Curry, I think it's in that scene. He has a bow tie, but it's a bat. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yes!
how did bat bow ties not take off like a million? I've never seen one before. And I was like, that's the coolest tie ever. Why has
Yep.
no one ever worn that again? I don't
Agreed.
understand. It's amazing.
I want a big white puffy pirate shirt and a bat bow tie.
Yeah.
And I'll be set.
And a-
Never have to change again.
And a cape that's big enough to cover a Winnebago.
That's right.
Yes, yeah. And a grill cover as a cape.
Oh, that's amazing.
Should we do we rate this one?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we
I
rate
think
this
so.
one.
Let's rate this one. Okay, so we have 3 tiers for well, let me read this. Now, we have to answer the question, is this a movie that people should also watch? We have a 3-tiered rating structure. The top is people must also watch, which obviously you must also watch. Middle tier is people could also watch. And finally, people don't always also watch. People don't also watch. And that's like, we're telling you don't watch this.
Thank you for that clarification.
Oh, you
Dave.
mean
Otherwise-
don't means don't. Okay, got it.
Got it. Tara, because this was an all-female cast, I think you should go first.
Okay. I'm on the edge of this one, but I'm leaning towards people could also watch, because while it's fun and it's kitschy, it is bad enough to be like, it's got funny moments and it's enjoyable. Maybe fast forward to the Tim Curry video scene, but if there's other good
Yes.
it's like if you've run out of Halloween movies to watch and you've watched Hocus Pocus 2 again, I'd say comb the bowels of YouTube, because it is on there and it's not long, but it's you could also, I think people could also watch it. They could.
Mm-hmm. Dave?
This is kind of like the sweet tarts of a Halloween haul.
Yeah.
You know, you got your Snickers, you got your
Yeah.
Reese's peanut butter cups, you got your M&Ms, and then you have sweet tarts.
Yeah.
And yeah, sweet tarts suck, but they're sugar.
I like them.
So I'm going to give it a people could also watch, but I'm going to qualify it a little bit. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you could
Ooh.
also watch.
That's true.
If you're a Hocus Pocus fan, you could also watch. If you're a Sweet Tarts fan, you can definitely also watch. So that's where I'm at. And I agree. Like maybe fast forward to the Tim Curry scene. Yeah, that's.
So,
What do you think, Adam?
you know, it was really tough for me.
Adam, the one who foisted this movie upon
He did
us.
foist
It's
it.
true. I was the one who came at it. I was like, everybody watch this movie. I was gonna be under the impression that this would be a movie that, like, you could still put a child in front of and be like, "Hey, watch this movie while I do anything else,"
Yes.
or let me watch this movie with you and I'll drink behind you. I'll play a drinking game.
Yes.
I don't think kids would last through this movie.
No, I don't think modern kids would. Yeah.
No, I don't
No.
think they would. And so therefore, I'm like, this is just a movie for adults. I'm going to have to go with people don't also watch.
Ooh.
As much as I
Wow.
love Tim Curry, as much as it was a lot of like fun shtick in it, the lead actress is so bad.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the CGI, I'm using air quotes you can't see, is just so atrocious that it's hard to watch. And even though it was just an hour, it felt like more.
It did.
It did feel like more.
Right.
It felt like a lot. But here's an old man rant.
Oh,
ahead.
God. Here he goes.
Watching it on YouTube, it seemed like there was a commercial every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's true,
served.
too.
It just was so clunky. But you know what can I? I'm watching a 1986 TV movie for free on my computer.
Yeah.
How can I complain?
I mean,
Very
the movie's-
easy, apparently.
The movie's almost 40 years old, guys.
Ugh.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
It's
Grandma. I'm tired.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Ugh.
If the acting was a little better from the lead, I'd give it a people could also watch. But like I said, kids won't get through it. Kids will not get through it.
Here's a challenge I'd like to issue, right? Like, thank goodness we finally got the reboot of Hocus Pocus 2. It took almost 30 years for us to get the response. I can't think of, besides 90s movies, really, and besides, like, what? I challenge some writer out there to write a really decent family Halloween movie. Because I
Yeah.
cannot think of anything that has been.
Hocus Pocus 2?
I just said that, Dave. I said beside Hocus. Oh, God, never mind. Listen, I'm trying to do a call out for, if there's one genre that is deeply, deeply underserved, it is family Halloween stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you because oftentimes they go to like the gross or the
Or the scary horror.
or the scary. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember Halloween movies even as a kid. There was like Ernest Saves
Scared
Halloween,
Stupid?
which was a really
Yep.
I don't know, remember a gory movie. The Gremlins
Oh,
was
scary.
was fucking scary.
Well, yeah.
They did one called like Monsters Under the Bed or Monster with like Fred Savage. There were some
Oh,
movies back then
that's
that were,
right.
that were scary. They were
Yeah.
scary for
Yeah.
kids. And I agree with you, Tara. I think there needs to be more Hocus Pocus style Halloween movies that are just fun and goofy and engaging.
Yeah, and that are that are smartly done. Which because it's funny with going back to
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus. The witches talked about eating children all the time, and they talked about like crazy, mean, like vile, vicious stuff. But it's encased in the idea that like obviously we're never going to see that. We're never going to like they joke about it, and they're so bumbling that you're like even if they had a child in their hands, like what would they do with it, right? Like
Exactly.
that's so like it's just
And if you remember in the original Hocus Pocus, when they actually did eat a child,
Uh-huh.
all they did was go
Yep.
and like suck their life force out.
Yeah.
It was in no way scary looking
Right.
at all.
right.
What I liked about it, I didn't say this about Hocus Pocus 2, but another thing I really liked about Hocus Pocus 2 was that it never felt like a Disney Channel movie.
Yes.
In that, right away, I was like, oh, this is a movie with a budget, and I was immediately enticed by that. And then it never like the children, the young actors were never precocious. They just seemed kind of normal. They never seemed smarter than the parents, even
Right.
though Tony Hale was kind of the only parent in it. But, even Sam Richardson, they never were like in an intelligent. Everyone seemed kind of very real and grounded.
Sure.
And I think in a movie like that, it could be very easy to play it up. And I'm glad they didn't.
Applause,
we,
applause, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Dave, you want to take us out?
Yeah, wait. Should we talk about what we're also doing?
Oh,
like,
right. Yep.
Oh, I want to start
anything-
with that. Okay, so
Please.
something I'm watching right now just started on Apple TV Plus.
Hold
It's
on, Tara.
called- what?
Let's do a little bit of an intro.
Oh, okay,
you know
got
what
it.
I mean?
So what should we
Go
do?
ahead. Good. You can just something like,
Hey, let's
something
talk
like at
about
this-
what we're.
yeah. At this point in the show, right before we go, we want to tell you guys what we're also watching. Something like that. I don't know.
Okay. But before we go, you know what? We want to tell you guys about something we're also watching. And you know what? I'm going to start us off because I have something that I'm very excited about. It's on Apple TV Plus. I just started watching it. It's Sharon Horgan, Bad Sisters. It's about 5 sisters who murder one of their sister's husbands. And it is so good. I'm like 5
Ooh.
episodes in. I can't get enough of it. It's brilliant. And it's Irish. They're
I
all
saw that-
Irish.
I saw that trailer. I really want to watch that. It looks like a really great, funny, dark show.
It's really good.
Nice. I am watching The Patient on Hulu with Steve Carell, which I'll watch do anything. And I'm going to missay his name. It's Dominanum Gleeson.
Dom Hall, isn't it Dom
Oh,
Hall?
yes,
Domhnall
yes.
Gleeson.
Dom Hall Gleason. Okay.
He played is it Admiral Hubble? I forget, on Star Wars the last
Yeah, he played the
sequel
bad guy.
trilogy.
Yeah, but it's really engaging. They're both great actors. There's a lot of 2-person scenes in there that are just fun to watch. So all about The Patient.
I am watching. Hold on one second. I'm going to look up the title because I want to make sure. I never get the title right. Okay. I'm watching on Apple iTunes. Is it Apple iTunes? Apple TV.
TV
I'm
Plus.
watching on Apple TV Blackbird with Taron Egerton and Paul Walter Hauser. They play prisoners. Taron Egerton is like in for white collar crime, and they send him to like this insane dark prison to befriend Paul Walter Hauser, who is this serial killer, suspected serial killer, and they're trying to get him to admit that he did all these killings. And it's just so fascinating, wonderful performances from both. But Paul Walter Hauser is one of those performers that is just amazing. He played the Clint Eastwood film about the 1996 bombing in Atlanta.
Yeah, the Unabomber. No, not
Yeah.
Unabomber. It was
Not the Unabomber.
World Trade Center.
Timothy McVeigh. I don't know. I don't think I saw this movie.
But he was also he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in the new 101 Dalmatians. He was in
Yep. He's in Queen Pins on Paramount Plus.
right.
He was in I, Tonya and Richard
I, Tonya.
Jewell.
That's
Oh,
how
that's
they.
it.
I,
Yeah.
Tonya's the one you're gonna know him from. He played like the
Yeah.
inept friend who thought he was in like the FBI or something like that. He was a lot of
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an insanely good actor.
I've seen a couple of trailers for that. I do want to check that out.
It's worth seeing. So that's what we've also watched. Again, if you want to reach out to us on Twitter, it's People Also Watch No ED. As what like we'd like to say here at People Also Watched, we have no ED.
Right. No AD.
Whatever makes you guys feel better.
So if you want to let us know what you thought about Hocus Pocus 2 or The Worst Witch, is The Worst Witch too much like Harry Potter? Was Hocus Pocus 2 as good as we all thought? Let us know on Twitter at People Also Watch No ED. People are going to be like, People Also Watch No ED.
Yeah,
No,
type the whole thing out.
Yeah.
the no ED is not part of it.